Hello students, today I will be speaking on social work education in India. In my presentation today I will highlight the evolution of the social work education in India and what are the major problems and challenges that is being faced by the social work education. If you see, practice of social work is not new in India. Since the Vedic period, social work was practiced in various forms. And even our ancient scriptures, Gita, Mahabharata and other scriptures, there is also mention about the practice of social work in ancient India. The notion of social work in India, you can see from the structure and functions of the Indian society even during the Vedic age. Our social system, our cultural practices, norms of living together and the existence of barter system are evidence that citizens lived for each other. Religious faith and belief in ancient Indian society directed human behavior towards a common end and peaceful existence. If you see the social reform movements that was undertaken during the 19th century, you will also find that social work practice is also reflected in those social reform movements. Particularly if you see the contribution of social reformers like Raja Rammohan Rai, Keshav Chandra Sen, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Anni Besant, Ramakrishna Paramhans and Swami Vivekanand, they took up the cause for the removal of social evils such as child marriage, sati pratha, untouchability, which existed in our Indian society, and these reformers advocated for women's education, widow remarriage and elevation of lower caste in the Hindu society. If you see in all these social reform movements, you will find there is reflection of professionalism and reflection of professional social work practice. Even you will also find the application of professional social work in the various rural reconstruction experiments that were undertaken during the pre-independence India. In the pre-independence India, the rural development was basically the task of voluntary organizations set up by the eminent people with selfless commitment to the rural poor. And there are lots of rural reconstruction experiment undertaken before India's independence. I am highlighting some of the important examples of rural reconstruction like Rabindranath Tagore's scheme of rural reconstruction that is quite famous. If you visit Sriniketan, where there is your Vishwabharati, one of the largest central university, where Rabindranath Tagore has started his scheme of rural reconstruction. Martyrdom experiment by Spencer Hutch, the Gurugaon experiment by F.L. Braine, the rural reconstruction program in Baroda initiated by Maharaj Sayaji and later it is developed by T. Prakasam, and the famous Etwa project undertaken by Albert Mayer and the Nilokari experiment in Haryana by S. K. De. These are some of the famous rural reconstruction experiments, and these experiments were very systematic, very scientific, and you will also find the reflection of professional social work principles, methods in the reconstruction experiments. Even during the freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi initiated different programs for the rural reconstruction as a part of India's independence movement. The rural reconstruction experiment undertaken by Tagore was very scientific and systematic in all aspects. The Tagore's philosophy and methodology of rural reconstruction led to the improvement of the rural society, constituting the core ideals of social work practice today, which have been accepted by both government and non-governmental organizations. Now we will discuss about the origin and the growth of social work education in Indian context. As I told you earlier, social work was practiced even during the Vedic age in some form. And before independence also we discussed about the social reform movements and about the rural reconstruction experiment, and we also see the reflection of professionalism in those social reform movements and rural reconstruction experiment. But social work as a professional course originated in India in 1936 with the establishment of Sir Dorabji Tata Graduate School of Social Work. The founding director of Sir Dorabji Tata Graduate School of Social Work was Father Dr. Clifford Marchant, Dr. Clifford Marcendant, who came to India in 1925 through the American Marathi Mission, which is a Christian organization working for the welfare of the society and was responsible for establishing formal social work training. The American Marathi Mission was founded in the Nagpada neighborhood house in 1926 on similar lines as a settlement house to address the social problems in a slum area, including poverty, gambling and prostitution. The American Marathi Mission was headed by Dr. Marcendant, who was later instrumental in the establishment of first school of social work, that is named as Sar Dorabji Graduate School of Social Work. Now it is known as Tata Institute of Social Science, and it was established in the year 1936, which introduced the beginning of the professionalization of social work in India. Just I want to highlight at this point, in 1936, when the course was started by the Clifford Marcendant, as I told, Clifford Marcendant was responsible for the establishment of the first school of social work in India. When it was started, there was no such need-based assessment. So during that time, when the course was started, the entire syllabus, entire curriculum was borrowed from the West. So I will discuss about the implications of borrowing of the entire curriculum from US and other Western countries in the later part of my presentation. In just now, I want to highlight how the social work education has developed over the last 8 decades. If you see, during the late 1940s and early 1950s, a number of social work institutions were established in India, including the famous ones are the Delhi School of Social Work, which is now known as Department of Social Work, University of Delhi, then the Madras School of Social Work and the Baroda School of Social Work. During the late 40s and early 50s also, some of the social work departments were established in various universities, including the Kashi Vidyapit, that is in Varanasi, and social work department was also created in the University of Lucknow and Gujarat Vidyapit in Ahmedabad. And if you see, by the year 1978, there were only 34 schools of social work. And if you see the geographical distribution of school of social work, by 1978 there was no such school, there was not a single school of social work even in the entire Northeast India and in the Jammu and Kashmir also. And most of the schools, if you see till 1978, were established in the major metropolitan urban areas. And exactly the exact number of schools till date is not available, but some of the reports shows that now we have more than 350 schools of social work across India, and there is also establishment of schools, social work schools in Jammu and Kashmir, and some of the universities in Northeast India have also established social work departments. And since 1936 to 2003, the social work education was offered only through the classroom teaching. Since 2004, social work education was being offered through open and distance learning. And Indira Gandhi National Open University is the pioneer in introducing social work education through open and distance mode. The BSW program of IGNOU was started in the year 2004, followed by MSW program in 2008. Later on, other universities have also started offering social work education through open and distance learning, such as other universities such as Madhya Pradesh Bhoj Open University, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit, Annamalai University, Alagappa University, Periyar University, Tamil Nadu University, Binayak Mission University, Dravidian University, Netaji Subhas Open University, Rajarshi Tandon University, Chhattisgarh Open University, Global Open University, Uttarakhand University, Magad University and Vardhaman Mahavir University is now offering social work education through ODL mode. If you see the latest report of Survey of All India Higher Education, that around 25% of the graduates in social work belong to the open and distance learning, and around 75% of the students, social work graduates, are through the classroom, product of the conventional universities. And if you see, during the early phases when the social work education was started in India in 1936, during this phase, particularly 1936 to till 1946, you can say, the social work curriculum mainly focused on urban problems, the problems of industrial workers, and concentrated on planning and organizing services, enabling people to cope with their economic hardship. Later, other schools of social work came into existence under the auspice of Christian missionaries. Universities and colleges located in different parts of the country introduced similar courses. Initially, if you see, the training program, the social work education focused on labor welfare and correctional administration and was considered generic. Social work education later expanded to include other fields such as family, child welfare and youth welfare, rural and urban development, and medical and psychiatric social work. So, more specializations also incorporated in the later part. If you see, the initial curriculum that is introduced at the Sir Dorabji Tata Graduate School of Social Work included methods of social casework, administration and research subject related to sociology, economics, psychology and human development were offered. Subject matter and target groups included the child, the family, juvenile delinquents and medical and psychiatric information. The courses were compulsory and there was no provision for specialization. For 10 years the curriculum did not change. In fact, several pioneers in social work education in India had their orientation to the profession in American establishment. Therefore, there was no initiative or you can say little initiative to develop an India-based curriculum for theory and practice. The influence of the American model on social work education in India was further reinforced by the appointment of a team of social work academics under an American educational mission to act as consultant to School of Social Work and conduct seminars on social work education. There was some attempt to adapt the Western content to suit the Indian social conditions. During the time of independence, the school introduced specializations in medical and psychiatric social work, criminology and correctional administration, labor welfare as well as on personnel management. However, many schools of social work continue to follow the generic pattern of social work curriculum. As I have told you earlier that the social work curriculum that we have almost completely borrowed from USA and from the Western countries, and when we borrowed the curriculum, everything, the social work theories, the techniques, the methods, everything was Western and American. And these theories, these methods were taught to the students without examining its validity, its applicability in the Indian context. So, that is why there has been some debates towards indigenizing the social work curriculum. So, University Grant Commission appointed several review committees to suggest for reforming the social work curriculum and making the social work profession more relevant in Indian context. The UGC constituted the first social work review committee in the year 1960 and the second review committee in the 1975 for the promotion and maintenance of the standards of education and the coordination of social work education, training, research and practice. If you see the report of the first review committee, it clearly says that social work should concern itself with promoting the welfare of the people from the weaker and more vulnerable sections of the society. The first review committee report recommended that social work teaching should be practiced at both undergraduate and postgraduate level. While field work was recommended for both the levels, the project reports based on the field research were only integrated into the postgraduate courses. The first review committee report also identified various fields such as labor welfare, rural development and community organization, tribal welfare, medical and psychiatric social work, correctional work, family and child welfare, work with elderly and welfare of the handicapped, in which social worker were expected to intervene using the methods of social casework, social group work and community organization, social welfare administration and social research and statistics. The committee conceived of formal training as an endeavor to develop trained manpower to provide social and welfare services scientifically and effectively. The second social work review committee that was constituted by UGC in the year 1975, if you see the findings of the report has identified two types of tasks for the professional social workers, that is developmental, and the second one is remedial or rehabilitative. The second review committee has categorically observed that the major goal of social work is to enhance the well-being of people, to develop their capacities to become participating and contributing citizen. UGC also in 2001 came out with a model social work curriculum. The UGC model social work curriculum highlighted the need to relate social work education to social realities. Now, we will discuss that since 8 decades, social work education is being offered in the Indian universities, but still now social work profession has not received recognition as a professional subject like other subject like medical professionals, like nursing professionals, like veterinary professionals, like lawyers. These professions have been recognized in India as a professional subject. But we have completed around 8 decades of social work education in India, but still now there has been no recognition for the social work course. What are the challenges? Why? What are the factors that is hindering the growth of social work education? Why it is not being recognized as a profession? There are many factors. I have listed some of the major important reasons that is hampering the growth of social work education in India. Some of the important reasons are as follows. The first is many universities have begun to incorporate social work education into the already established faculties such as sociology, adult education, preventive and social medicine. That is very unfortunate that social work is a practice based discipline, and these social work courses are run by various universities. That social work courses are being offered by various universities under the department of, that is run by the Department of Sociology, Adult Education and Preventive and Social Medicine like departments. Even in some universities, you will find that even the teachers of other disciplines who are teachers of sociology and other disciplines, they are teaching to the students of social work without having exposure to the social work discipline. Because in its social work curriculum, social work teaching that is quite unique. We provide concurrent field work training, so that the students, whatever the theoretical knowledge they are taught in the classrooms, they have the opportunity to apply it in the field work setting. So when we hire people from other disciplines, those don't have any exposure to the field work practice, and so they are not able to deliver in the expected way. And another important major challenge of social work education in India is borrowed imported social work curriculum. The curriculum that we are teaching is mostly we have borrowed from the US and UK. So that Eurocentrism and American centricism in social work education is one of the major challenge that is hampering the growth of social work education. Because whatever the theories we are teaching to the students, and these theories may or may not be relevant, because we have never tested whether this theory, this method is applicable in Indian context or not. And secondly also, we have been maintaining status quo. We are not, neither we could able to develop any new theories on our own experiences, on our own practice in the field, nor we could able to critique the existing European and American theory. We always think that the Western theories are far better, far superior, and it is quite relevant as it is universal. In social work, there is nothing such universal theory. it is better if you can develop our own indigenous theory that is relevant to our context. That theory should be developed on the basis of our own experiences. And Indian society is quite different society. There is different communities. It is a completely complex society, not like that of European society. So adopting and accepting the Western theory as gospel truth, or it is universal, that is become problematic, particularly in the field of social work education. So there is need for developing indigenous literature, indigenous social work curriculum. Now some of the social work associations, they are also working towards indigenizing the social work education. Bharatiya Samaj Karya Parishad is doing wonderful work, and it is developed a Bhartikaran of social work curriculum. That is, in that curriculum they are trying to bring a synergy between the India's Indic wisdom and international standards of social work education. That is a very good move, good initiative. Because in the last 8 decades, if you examine the reports of the first review committee report and second review committee report, even the social work 2001, that model curriculum, you will find that there has been little changes in the existing curriculum. There has been tendency to fit and refit again within this Western Eurocentric, American centric curricula and framework. So that borrowed important social work curriculum is one of the major important factor that is hindering the growth of social work education in Indian context. Another important problem is lack of public recognition of social work as a profession. And social workers, like other developed countries, don't have exclusive areas of social work practice. There has been a saying that social workers are relevant, social workers can get employment from village level to the United Nations. In every sector, in each and every sector, starting from school, industry, child welfare homes, old age homes, we claim that there is a need for social workers. So there must be some exclusive areas that should be reserved for the social work professionals. Another important challenge of social work education is lack of indigenous material. If you see the reading list of most of the universities, we only prescribe, mostly the universities prescribe, the books written by the foreign authors, and the books has been written keeping in mind their European or American worldview. And there is need for developing literature, indigenous literature, that should be based on the Indic worldview. So lack of indigenous material is also poses a major challenge for the growth of social work education. And how can we develop indigenous material? There are different ways of developing indigenous material. We can think of developing indigenous Indic knowledge from our ancient scriptures, ancient practices like your yoga, vipassana, meditation. For example, in the theory, psychological theory, you can find Triguna theory. We also have our practice of naturopathy, hydropathy. All these things are quite relevant in the social work practice. Even many research studies shows that yoga, vipassana, meditation is quite helpful in resolving the problem of drug addiction or chewing gutka. And it is also helpful in solving the psychosocial problems, anxiety, depression of the youth. But these Indic practices, these Indic knowledge systems has been completely sidelined, as we have considered that the Western European knowledge system, their theories and methods is far superior than the Indian knowledge system. Another way of documenting developing indigenous material is to document the experiences, the successful tested experiences in the field of social welfare and rural development. Say for example, Nanaji Chitrakoot model of rural development, or we can say Sriniketan experiment that was developed by Rabindranath Tagore. We can talk of the Anna Hazare's experiment. We can talk of Rajendra Singh's experiment. There are so much of indigenous model of community development and rural development that can also be integrated into our social work curriculum. And we can also incorporate in your curriculum about the reform movements that is undertaken by the renowned social reformers in India, particularly Swami Vivekananda, Dayanand Saraswati, Ambedkar, Jyotiba Phule and Mahatma Gandhi. This should be also their philosophy, their model should be developed and should be integrated into the social work curriculum. There are many various ways to develop the indigenous material. Also, decolonization is one of the most important method for developing indigenous material. We can test the relevance of the particular theory, we can test the relevance of the particular methods, whether it is relevant to our Indian context or not. Say for example, we talk of psychoanalytic theory of Sigmund Freud, we can examine in our local context whether this theory is suitable in addressing the problems or it is not relevant. If it is relevant, we must accept it and incorporate it in our curriculum. If it is not relevant, we must reject it. So, there are different ways of developing the indigenous material. Another important challenge of social work education is weak professional associations. Whatever the associations we have, they are very much weak, they are not in a position to bargain with the government to get recognition for social work profession. Even many associations were started and these associations could not succeed in the long term. So, there is a need for developing a strong professional association who can work with the government, who can bargain with the government and can provide recognition and importance to the social work profession. Another important challenge that is hindering the growth of social work education in India is the absence of national regulatory body for social work education. We do not have any such national regulatory body that can regulate the social work education. So, we find there are variations in the social work curriculum. There is no uniformity in social work curriculum across the Indian universities. In some of the universities, field work is also not given important. Some of the research studies shows that field work has become a kind of ritual in some of the universities. So, there is a dire need for a national regulatory body that can regulate the social work education, social work curriculum and field work practice in the social work education. One of the major challenge of social work profession is that social work educators are not practitioners. If you see in other profession, for example, in medical science, the doctors in the medical colleges, they are also practitioners, they are also teachers, but in social work, mostly social work educators are not practitioners. And the gap between theory and practice that was there earlier, because as I told, the theory part we have taken from the West. So, there was already gap between theory and practice, and due to the COVID-19, due to the lockdown, the gap has further widened, because there was lockdown, no universities are opened. So, students could not go to the field of practice, and surprisingly we can say we produced a batch of social workers who have not even visited the field. So, the gap between theory and practice is further widened. So, we need to develop our fieldwork modules or practice modules on the basis of the theory that is relevant in our Indian context. Another very unfortunate thing about the social work profession is that our social work practitioners, those who are employed in the voluntary organizations or NGOs, they get very less salary. That is also demotivating factor for the social work profession. And in some of the states, there is inbreeding of social work institutions. There is inbreeding of social work institutions, and some of the social work institutions are led by sugar barons and the industrialists. And these institutions are basically working to get some profits. They do not have interest for providing quality social work education. That is also reason for hindering the growth of social work education. I also told earlier there is lack of uniform syllabus, and the last reason we can say lack of systematic and standardized fieldwork training in the Indian universities. So, these are some of the important reasons for hampering the growth of social work education in India. Thank you.